not worthy. Tell myself no, but who cares, cause tonight I will party. Sail some rudder on the ship, rum and beer, I'll take a drink, and tomorrow I won't remember a thing. Sail some rudder on the ship, rum and beer, I'll take a drink, and tomorrow I will be hungover.
Good morning. Or whatever it is, wherever you are. So there's this image bug that's been bugging me. I see it more zooming in. And of course, now it's, well, probably because there's less delay on my local file system, which is why I didn't really notice it until we published. So I think it has to do with the asynchronous thing I did to get the index. Yeah. This is behaving pretty well. So it must just be when you have the extra delay of a remote fetch. Which means it's going to be kind of hard. Well, I can add fake delay and see if that's it. Because it keeps picking the wrong layer. I think some of these are over fat pixels. I guess it's easier to notice when you're doing little things out in the wild. No. And of course, now it's behaving fine. Oh yeah, Siri, you see a little bit of it here. It stuck with the wrong level for some reason and kept displaying it. But it does seem to be behaving better now. When I was looking, granted, I was also doing more of a full screen thing, so maybe the amount it's drawing at once was a factor. So this was our sparse tile layer. We added an asynchronous step. So that we can test whether or not there's actually a tile there. And we think the issue is that it is just slow. Good morning, Rainey. Nope. I probably have to change this for the duration of the test here. This is probably a model default. So 2D map below zoom. Was there nothing here? So why are we getting misses now? Okay, so maybe I had not recompiled yet. I thought I run a compiler. Do I override that somewhere? I probably don't send this in my initial setup. So I actually see it implemented on the map layer. Yeah. And that wouldn't be a bad thing to have sent either. How are you doing this morning? No, that doesn't do it. Or there's actually just nothing yet. Nope. Yeah, you can see the same kind of lag, but then it does fix itself. No coffee. Uh-oh. We're also coming up with misses. Still tired, but not the same kind of tired. Generally feeling a little bit better. I wonder if maybe this stuff should be after some of that. That's going to redefine the world, which is where those layers are actually going to be. And then we're going to redefine the worlds again. Yeah. We've been in the don't want to get out of the nice warm bed stage for a little while. I don't think it was just that, though. I just kind of wanted to close my eyes, but I was also restless. The map might have to remember this. That's essential objects, activity map. Yeah, I don't remember you anywhere. With object options, I I did do that. I don't know. Nothing's been particularly sticking out. So you only have one option, but we have to remember it. Actually, you don't even have the activity map options. I guess it's max zoom. Oh no, I have a thing that calculates this. Oh yeah, we've got activity map max zoom. I have to reapply these when we recreate them. Create activity map layer. Act map layer options. Your sample size. Oh, but I never update this when I send that message. That's the issue. Okay, so that gets a test set up, hopefully. Oh, okay, yeah, we expect it to be delayed. But then it fixes itself. I wonder if it's specifically because it's an async. Maybe I have to slow down the fetch itself. And that just shows up missing. I haven't really been paying attention if there were actual misses. Yeah, some kind of large pixels there, but nothing showing up as missing. Why are you showing up as missing? I mean, that should be about the same as the promise resolution there. Oh, so which cache was this? Tile data cache? Sparse tile layer gets constructed with act tile index, which is a tile index cache, which is a type of tile data cache. Either return a completed promise or a not completed promise. This might be when going to a new zoom level when it does delay. We have to have the record to put it in here. So I guess it might be interesting to see, well, I need to see this when it's actually happening. To see if there's any correspondence. I'm not currently getting any. Well, I guess there would be. The difference would be that there would sometimes be a delay when we're doing this. But all these are. Like this returns, this returns. There's not an easy way to put another delay in here. Short of figuring out what a browser promise looks like and inserting something into there. Okay, that's function, promise, 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 promise. Resolution func, rejection func. We can then that. So this is going to be the record promise. Tiles, I guess. So you're taking a function. No, I can pass arguments from here. Resolve after some time with the original argument. So that'll make it only sometimes delay. Well, it should be only when it's getting a new layer. Yeah, so I'm seeing delay in it. But I'm never getting the ones that stick around. Maybe there's something in the weird where it decides to move past that and clears it out. I mean, that should suffer the same issue as this. It has to do with it's assigned the URL for the image, but then it like cancels loading too soon. Oop. Too much undo. Or I wonder, Could the loaded event be firing off of like the default thing, making it think it's done already? Grid layer or tile layer. It's a class tile layer. So initialize, tweak the zoom. There's a tile on load. There's the original create tile, which we've copied. That normally always sets the source. I suppose I could set the source, well, if I set the source to blank, I could get the on load event, which might confuse things. i.e. less than 9, otherwise we're just... Right, we're setting the done, so that would tell it was done when it wasn't really done. Would be that problem. No, now you see there's an abort loading here. Where's tile complete? On tile load, oh. And that's an internal thing. So there's your empty image URL. So there's a couple of things that might be interesting here. But what's going to have the problem of I can't actually get the same error just by adding delay. Well, we can see if zooming around does do abort. Oh, yeah. We abort every time we zoom. Which isn't necessarily going to abort my promise, which is still going to try to update a tile object. Oh, and it's specifically checking for tiles we have that don't match the tiles, which is one of the things I wanted to look at. There's a specific remove. Is this used a lot? Guys, this is some sort of leaflet helper function. Parent equals L.parent node if parent remove child. Okay. We only do that if it's not complete. Image, I guess you could call that an embed element. Alt. Appreciated attributes. It's almost like I might need to look up the actual JavaScript DOM API for it. Elements, any topics? No, that is this. HTML image element. Complete. Rather, finished fetching the image whether successful or not. Value is also true if the image has no source value, which it will be the case if we've not yet assigned it. But that should actually, so it will not do this. Why does it only do that if not complete? Is there something else that removes them if they are complete? And that could actually be something in grid layer. Where is grid layer proper? Grid layer proper. On add, before add, on remove. That's for the layer. Is loading, redraw, get events, create tile, very, very trivial. Update opacity. On remove level, prune tiles. Get zoom, this dot options max zoom, remove all tiles. Retain parent, retain children within a certain zoom range. Not tiles retain, the remove tile. So maybe it like loads them kind of in the background. That's why it's looking for the not complete ones. If tile.current and not tile active. It's doing some sub functions here. So it starts off retain the current and not tile active. Invalidate all, retain parent. Tile.loaded. Retain children. So I might have to modify this abort. What do we do with that? I guess we can't use complete, so I'm gonna have to override abort to use some custom flag. Because empty will probably be like immediately complete. Also true if if the image has no source value, which is the initial state. But it would have never fired a loading event if it never transitioned to complete. Is there anything else we can say about these? Well, we've got chords, not match. We could check for tiles that have no source. That's still an override of abort loading. Okay, so there is modified. To count for images that never had a source assigned. Also this. So this is place with nothing. So let's actually just go through and say, we're going through every tile. Although interestingly, when I simply delayed doing that, I didn't have the same artifacting, so maybe that's not it. Oh, okay, I broke something there. False fun is an internal leaflet thing. And it's just return false. Are you assigned? Yeah, you're leaflet util. Oh, and l.util. Okay, so it is. Oh, interesting. They're putting it as empty string. That's actually new, I think. If not complete or tile.source equals empty string. And unfortunately, well, nope, still bug. Remove. Oh, yep. Are you a util thing again? Your DOM util. Which means we did trigger that code. We also triggered some URLs not found, which is a little bit disturbing. How are we doing that? And that was something I hadn't seen before I started messing with the timing. -24. -90. Are we getting our zooms crossed up? Wait. Well, no, there's... Okay, that's the other dimension, probably. This is pretty much tutorials and then way over where we are. Oh, but -97 would be the... I think this might be y and that's x. But this is xy. Why do you think you can do that? Am I possibly referencing a chords object that's actually changing underneath me? No, because this is producing a brand new object. So that shouldn't be changing on... Oh, layer.getTileURL, however, actually that's probably it. That probably has some stateful stuff going on. Which I'm actually surprised that didn't cause more trouble when I just did the delays. Oh, and do I need to do you on data chords? Was that also an error? Okay, well that fixes the missing tiles. No indication that the chords versus data chords matters. I mean, it might actually be, the issue here might actually be that, yeah, you know what, get tile URL. Part of the issue with that, which it's defined in leaflet. It does get zoom for URL, which is depending on stateful information. So this actually doesn't matter because it's ignoring it. And then that happening asynchronously is probably the bug. Since these are just images, I might not have cross-domain issues. No, you're a little bit different. Did I ever... I pointed at the data servers, but not... no, you are one map. Oh, no, these are text files, and it's the loading of the text files that are the particular issue, so we cannot do that. Well, hopefully that's it. I don't think I ever took a note on this. And that's what speak back off of source. That's the key change. I'm gonna guess that that's actually the issue. And then we'll see. It's kind of hard to test. Okay, sending that initially is fine. Having default change, well, I might need to make that saved. I'm still unsure if I would need that to be, that should be the default value, even though I usually want to look at it. All right, so that means no changes in model. Attempt to fix. All right. So we now have, we're not longer dealing with that thing. Hmm. Oh, that's right. Actually, I was seeing that during life mode, and it's not. I'm just getting. Oh yeah, it's just lightening out. I think since the purpose of this is to make the data easier to see, this should get faded by that as well. And maybe it should be completely toggleable. But we already have fade as an option. Fade to all objects. Oh no, it's actually base fade. On add, on remove. Tile pane. Oh, it's tile pane. But this counted as an overlay. Maybe it shouldn't count as an overlay? We have to care about ordering then. Yeah, and it seems to have, well, okay. Right, because we're back to these defaults. Okay, so that actually seems to be okay. And if you wanted to fade it out for looking at data, you can still kind of tell something's there. So hopefully that continues to behave layering-wise. I guess I should check it in some... Do I have any of this? Yeah, some of my older data should have this plus biomes. It's just not going to be particularly right there. It's already harder to see, but... That might not have been a super active area during this period. Yeah, so fade would do everything. We can turn off biomes to get back to about what we had before. Maybe even a way to make that not fade would be good. It seems to be a relatively small chunk I hit here. So that was actually an easy one. Well, that might solve the need to turn it off. Because it's like already alpha, and then you alpha it more. You can turn it off at any level at which you could see map detail. And this is technically supposed to be things, well, it's just layers. It's just identified in the overlay pane. But the way I'm doing, I'm switching layers in and out. I can't just have a, well, I could swap them in and out in a separate sub thing that was maybe then in the base layer by time. We go through, we say which layers do we want, which layers do we want off. And it's just, yeah, and they're all in base layer. To do it in a separate layer would mean we'd have to do 2 loops with a different thing. So we got objects, key placement point, which you could kind of be like a base layer overlay type thing yourself. Act map. Oh, so map log point and key placement point. I mean, this is like, right, you're world dependent, but kind of an overlay. So like biome, object, key placement, map log, or like base map. Then we could potentially, let's see, so that would be, I still had biome layer as kind of a separate thing. And then we have then object overlay is kind of flipped. We're just using a flag for that. But if anything, that probably shouldn't be affected by fade. Maybe it's tagged as an overlay layer. Yeah, so that's how I did it. It's tagged as an overlay layer, and I'm doing the tile layer pane. So that is technically separate there. And it is a separate thing there. We're just using our own flag for it instead of actually putting the layers in there. A whole base for each, layers for each. So the toggling on and off would then be very simple. It would just be that layer. As long as we didn't have layer ordering issues. That would take care of, well, biome layer is still kind of part of the base layer. It would take care of object overlay and if we wanted to toggle the activity map. Now, this function didn't being base layer by time, we would still have a fair bit of... It would still be kind of in this function if it wasn't really base layer anymore. Because otherwise you just have a bunch of functions that do the same thing with different groups of stuff. I wonder if this actually ends up enforcing a kind of ordering. So you probably should be a separate thing. We just have to do this logic, and we'd have to go through the... I guess this would be one loop to check two layers. This would be two loops. Which, oh no, they have their own arrays. Which makes it want to be a separate function. Jeez. The only thing that's weird about that is we've got this kind of separate layer thing going on. Or it's kind of like an overlay layer, and it's not actually an overlay layer. There's a certain kind of simplicity of just having this one thing that determines all of what's on. This wouldn't necessarily... You know, overlay stuff wouldn't necessarily touch the animation effect. We would depend on target span still. Not for the act map, but that's still target span. So that would be if overlay, well, that'd be, no, the toggling of it being on or off would strictly be the actual leaflet toggle. So things would be added or moved from that layer based on these kinds of conditions, but it would usually be in an invisible layer and nothing much would happen to it. So I think I've already got, let's see, that is object overlay. Well, probably the thing itself has the on-off, which calls that function to then do the on-off. So we wouldn't even need these events then. So that's maybe something. So it is indeed object overlay. And if this is in a flag, we were testing for the existence of that. But we'd have to do something like you. I could almost test that directly. You don't necessarily have bearing on that, but it doesn't really hurt to increment a value. No, it's object. Object overlay. Object overlay. Object overlay. Object overlay. Object overlay layers. Okay, that does the add, and then let's see, you're just triggering this, which in and of itself doesn't hurt. It's just extra work. Oh, yep, objects. And that still works. So I think we don't need this. I don't know if Leaf is going to be bothered by having to update 2 layers when it does update stuff. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much trouble. So that's just a straight overlay toggle then. That has a somewhat more natural thing. So object map is somewhat separately controllable. You can set it so that it's either that or this. It's now fadeable to almost nothing. So maybe that's going to be as good as toggling it. Although maybe that's not as obvious of a way to do it. If all you want to say is, I don't want to see that. Those are the hard UI decisions. All right. I think we actually have some. Oh, that problem with that. It doesn't actually give us this coloring. Yeah, so we had some very dark colors here that are very hard to see. Oh, and I still had, well, here we go. So I'm not, well, I'm able to use global variables here. So it might be a little bit easier. So this is going to be like color lineage. Do I record, do I even send theme here? Okay, yes I do for that, but I passed it as a argument. So all layers are probably already getting theme. In fact, this is a life point layer, so it is definitely getting theme. So that's color cause. This would be color lineage. And it's options theme. I guess we look this up. Color lineage. This dot options dot theme. And I see your set data layers. Point dot lineage color. Okay, so I have to figure out how to get that now. Do I only do it here? Yes. That is what? Set data layers. Message.lives.data. Well, I guess I could also send the theme with that. Or do I record this in like a generic layer options anywhere? Result point, life anim overlay, life point overlay, legend control. Would be one point to have it. I mean, I think result points is probably kind of a thing that sticks around too, and that's, well, now result points is a little bit different. So really one of these would sort of be the prime thing. Set data layers. So can we get that? Legend control dot options dot theme. Legend Control. Okay, so it does have that. Color lineage. All right, so for color cause, we just did a little if-else for one particular case. This really wants to adjust the bounds. This is probably lightness. It could affect our greenish tone, which actually doesn't only matters on when the biome layer is visible. Oh, I need more water. I'll be back in a little bit.
It's back.
No, wrong one. Oop, oh, cleared the cave. Woo, got a little bit of air there.
We don't need one to.
Little way.
Base dug out. Let's build that other set. Meal lice. Or meal wood. As far as it goes, putting doors down everywhere, it's a little bit of overkill. I probably don't even need to do that, but I just like it. One advantage to it is,
Hey, look at the wolf! Bye, Wolfie! Whoa! Well, that wheelie bar's already working. It's only half built. Whoa! Oh, dear God! Bye, drill! Bye, vehicle altogether. That rock better have some dang good ore on it. I know it doesn't, but it... Oh, God, I lost... Oh, that ore is my ore. Okay. Well, GG. GG, everyone. GG. That is a lot of stone, though. Holy moly.
And we're back. So probably it's just a switch here. So 53, what is the... This is probably a 100 range, so we could go up to 47. Oop. It's in parentheses. Okay, so that's better. That lightens up everything. And maybe I need to swap the color in this mode then. And does that get properly updated? It does not. Oh, no. Well, this is updated. This did not. Because it was not a thing that was argumented in theme. So I guess set data layers Only happened there. We do all the stuff with the points, and then we set that data into all of these. It's the only place that happens. That's trying to deal with raw data. You could probably pull it out of something. Set options, life anim overlay, life point overlay, life point overlay. No. Oh, that's just the min and max for data. Legend also has the data. Would that even work? Does that set data layers? Yeah. Okay, so that's dark. It does work. I mean, we're kind of abusing our data here. And there's the question of, do we want to just like, that can get very light now. These colors would be mostly good for black. I mean, that's still maybe a little dodgy, but... I think the legend control, though... Well, that might even be an HTML thing. Set point color. What was that for? Well, that's the class of color. Oh, actually that... Might be sufficient to make everything reevaluate that? That set data layers, which assigns... Oh, but it assigns these colors, which we then switch out as needed. Oh. We were setting it twice. That's how we were doing it. So this would be... which is just kind of multiplying all our data. I probably should do this. Color dark. Oh, I was probably appending the theme to it. Oh, background color, color cause. Wait, did I not end up using that? Oh, maybe for the points. Plus options.theme. It probably does whole word, doesn't it? So then color lineage is covered. Your background color. Data. And I never, in any other case, changed the foreground color, did I? Okay, so you're creating this whole cloth. But this is style equal. Okay, so that's to cut it off if it gets too big. So that's the background color. Options.theme. And then swatch.style. If it's a separator. Otherwise, I have to append it to each of those. So. Oh, we're still having an error here. Data is undefined. Oh, you should no longer need to do that. What we're going to do? Oh, we were going to do set point color, which makes the layers redraw. Badly. Okay, so that in and of itself is fine. This is not. Yeah, that even messed up the swatches. Oh, because Legend Control needs to use the color append. And we need to be Legend Control, point Legend Control. Control point Legend, and that's a different kind of point legend. So you still have to be assigned from something, right? Control.legend. Okay. You need to also... Well, no, because you were doing direct color lineage. You weren't using the pre-stored values. Were you not options.theme? Cause of death color, options.theme. Did I pull out options only for this one? No. Options are for everybody. Okay, so the foreground color isn't being set, and we're just not getting... I guess my style isn't set correctly. Let's go back to just this, because that actually worked. And it no longer works. Why does that no longer work? What? Maybe I have another variable that's that? Or maybe I just typoed it. Okay. Maybe I just typoed it. Okay, so that's there. That flips. That flips. Are we still good on the initial status? We're still good on initial status. Oh, wait. Did I get these? Oh, I need to have those colors be backwards. These are contrast colors. Well, I guess maybe that's not super readable, although it seems a little bit more readable than the black version on the dark color. Well, maybe we just leave that alone. And see if we get anything that's particularly bad. Well, okay, so all bright's a little bit bad. I don't know if there's a easy way to measure color intensity to like pick out particular cases. Yeah, I might have to live with it for a little bit and see if that ends up being... I think the white's a little bit more visible. But like some of these colors get really bad. And maybe I don't have to be as bright, but it's going to show up a lot better on here. Okay, that's just the activity map color. Oh, I actually left out set point color. Did not need that apparently. Just lineage colors and dark mode. All right, other thing I wanted to do. It's like, this is all gonna be life stuff. Which I guess it really only matter when this is visible. That'll be monument settings, object settings. Animated is already kind of a thing, but that needs to be sort of a heading. And there's sort of generic settings that always apply. I might want to have a sort of heading thing that's also a toggle. That is a radio label right now. This would be just... do you even have... element... You don't have a heading. It's like, yeah, define your own heading with font size and stuff. Well, maybe region, main content, navigation. Oh. H1, H2. Region.heading blah. Oh. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know if anything else is headings. It would not be very high level headings. So I probably can have a bit of a method for this. And, I didn't import region. I could perhaps do more with region. Okay, I used it for something. Region description. We have main content, navigation, heading. I don't know if sidebar counts as a side. I'm not sure if navigation is supposed to be like the whole navigation, like a navigation element. Okay, so let's bring me a little helper type thing. We could do something with scaled. Although the scaled was originally height sensitive. I probably need to stop using it that way. Okay, so a two-part message. I probably pulled that in and got scaled from that, didn't I? So I've only been using 500 for this, I think. As a stand-in. So two-part message, yeah. I don't think that this is going to be a scalable setup. Probably easier to do scaled first. Well, I could inline you. Get it out of here. Now get the call sites, of which there are too many. Okay, scaled. So we're only using 500 there. So we were doing 16 max. So I guess this was just at a minimum size. And I think modular. Float, int. I'm short a number here. Oh, yeah, I'm short a number here. Oh, because we're then using the inline implicit other argument type of form. So it was module, yeah, 16125 is exactly that thing. And then apply it around to the result. So scaled was blah, 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 and that gives me like 1, 2, 3, 4. Levels. Size needs the first argument to be Oh, actually, height wasn't actually. Oh, I forgot to take you out of the fucking signature. Okay, so we can use that. Now, I only use this for some of these internal things here. I probably need to establish, for this to look good, a base size for everything else, which is probably on what, layout? Okay, that's a little bit smaller. Probably didn't recompile. And that seems to be right about back where we were. I mean, it could be slightly different. But I have a feeling that... and I guess if I took that off, I could figure out exactly what the default MUI size was. And then that's definitely larger. Shoot. I think I need another break. I'll be back in a little bit. Well, okay. No. Did you just drop? You just take that kid away somewhere?
We're in Lost Discord.
Yeah, I looked there and I only saw 2 channels, but nobody was in them.
Can't see. Don't have the vision.
I don't have the permissions. Alright, let's see what junk we're gonna get out of these.
Hey, you go into that. Hey, no, not you.
That's awesome. Okay. So we want to smear it right out to the... This is what makes or breaks our cinnamon.
Oh. Hey. Got one of the seals.
For the oxygen tanks, we need glass.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, well I got 2 quartz and 1 glass.
Okay, make up another. Actually, yeah, make them all, because we'll all want oxygen tanks.
You know, and I found it. There's a next to that little wreckage. There's a downed ship.
Oh, nice. There we go. So I've got wind turbines and oxygen tanks. So.
Nice.
And we're back. So that should give us a reasonable base size. Let's see. There's the scale, palette, theme class, icon. And I might end up with like a checked heading, but heading, title. Is this going to be an L in order to apply? Oh, I guess I'm only going to have 1 level for now. Font dot size. Now I'm starting to wonder if I should work font dot size into this. Although I guess you could use this for sizes of other things. Font dot size and region dot heading. Let's see, so scaled, larger numbers make it larger. I mean, probably heading 3 still, even though it's a different thing, still makes sense. That compiles. This is the cosmetics sidebar. Okay, we need to do something else with that. Oh, if I'm going to do a contrasting color, then I have to get a theme down to here. Let's see. Here used here. You have the model. Model right now has control color. But it should also have a foreground and a background. But the heading basically needs to be inverted. So you had an entire model. Control color was being used directly on those. Was anything getting the whole theme passed to it? Theme control, of course. Or maybe it's individual colors in some cases. No, most things that deal with have the model, I guess. So you either need the entire palette or both colors. I guess you'd want to possibly be able to do a heading that was pre-built with the palette. Which I could actually do is I'm going to do a whole bunch of headings here. Which almost makes me want to have the other heading be a be something else. So that then this becomes just heading. But now we need this twice. Should have done a round on that. And that compiles. Font.color palette dot, I guess it's just background. Is it, I think it's backgrounds dot color dot foreground ground. And this is probably a case where we should be doing, let's see, model, sidebar, open sidebar, and let's see, data filter, cosmetics. You compiled yet? Yeah, there we go. And then you need to be full width. So maybe a row instead of an L? Or maybe just width fill. Okay, so we've still got, and that's probably the size of the internal scrolling region. Seems maybe a little bit off, but it has the idea. So that's lives. That's monuments. Oop. That's objects. That's the activity map. Oop. Which could leave some more words out of this now, if that's sufficiently clear. Animated is almost going to be its own title if we get this, if we get the checkbox thing working. And then, I don't know, application. And I'm thinking I want to do something like this, where it ends up controlling its associated options. So this is going to be like a, well, it's going to have to be in the heading. But the heading, right now we're pressing text, really we need to make that an element, and then it can be whatever. Although I might have to do some extra colors with this, but we'll see. So heading really needs to take an element. And it's still going to be functionally the title, but it's not going to be text. And then let's see, so this thing, no, it can't be text. Probably could be. So I could define a thing that takes a title. Well, it's going to be a title and a setting because it's going to have the checkbox in it. That's going to have to be part of the model. It's going to have messages that it sends as a checkbox. Could I style a radio button as a title? I mean, it's not going to have all the conveniences of this. Okay, we put padding around you, which would then want to go around the other element, which I didn't have an option to do that stuff. Although, probably I guess the heading should have its own padding. Hey, Sonic Song, how's it going? Probably you would want me not the space yourself. Doing okay. Is that spacing now? Or is that just how checkboxes look? No, that's just how checkboxes look. Or my label has padding 6. Yeah. So I kind of want to move that out. Oh, some of that was for the indent. And that was probably one of these, actually. Okay, so that was doing that. Yes, all my other checkboxes have had that spacing. Probably still want some of the left indent. I don't know about the top and the bottom with the background. Actually, just having headings have some padding would... I still want them to fill. Yep, okay, so that still filled. Now we need to watch the left and the right. Which I think is going to be a 4-component thing. Well, we can set horizontal and vertically differently. Maybe a little bit. Okay, so now we can have a thing that is like a heading. Actually, the label had something too, which I think gave us the separation from the checkbox. And now I've forgotten what you were. Were you the 6? Yeah, that gave us the separation from the checkbox, but this needs to be kind of an XY too. Did we compile already? Okay, we got some separation there. And then what's spacing in this context? Or is that a similar thing? Did I miss it? Okay, okay, actually spacing does that. So maybe we just need more spacing. Oop. Just in the brackets, thanks. So I guess I was copying that from some other things where for some reason it made sense in that context. And I guess really it's going to be 8. Since that was 2 plus 6. I kind of want to do a thing where it's like, it's a checkbox title plus the thing that it toggles. Which I guess there is some correspondence to that thing. We'd have to have that. We'd have to have a title. We'd have to have this, and then just stuff. Oh, I had these toggled individually. Because they were members of an array, so it was easier to do that way. But I could swap out all of the sub-content for either a none or an empty list. And actually, that would sort of suggest then actually making activity map toggleable anyway, just so you can turn off these options, if nothing else. So lives could be associated with this stuff. Monuments can be associated with that stuff, although I don't know if that's currently visible to the UI application. Objects aren't currently toggleable. Oh, this is kind of off, but I don't think you can really do that. So I can make a toggleable region for this and then start expanding it to other things, I guess. And maybe heading should have so you can do padding. That's within the inverse region. Spacing is for things inside of a container. I'd need to have a container to do stuff outside of the inverse zone anyway. At which point I'm wondering, do I even want to do it with just a heading? What you would do would be row, column, and let's see. Only that is there. That's only the heading. The color is here. So really, probably we can do something like that. Actually, do you need to be a column just under L? I was thinking you could have a dummy element that was just the space on just yeah, actually just the top. Yep. And then, well, I guess a none doesn't get attributes, so this has to be another L. And then either I set your height. Height. Is that pix? Not quite sure. You're an L to give you attributes to none. L function expects 2 arguments, but got 5. Because we're missing our comma. Nope. Then you need to be width fill as well. It has to be fill all the way down. Not turtles all the way down. And that... Not great on that one. It's not a margin that will collapse. Can I do this? Does this have to be integer? It does have to be integer. Now, why is he complaining about parentheses, though? That was looking for an integer? Okay, that's the error I expected. So you cannot do scaled sizes for that. So it was 16, half of that would be 8. That still seems largish there, although that's pretty small, so that's actually some bottom padding from this other stuff, I guess. Which may have been more how I was doing that separation before. All right, so we're looking at possibly having a kind of toggle section thing. So we would need the key settings from here, which would be message, flag, and that, and then we would have content as well. So there are some specific controls. So this is a subsection control. So you get a, well, checkbox is a, no, it's a Boolean. So you have an unchange, a checked. These labels are going to be styled the same, icon the same. I'm wondering if I should do something similar to checkbox in terms of having a named properties, because we've got almost as many fields as the checkbox itself has. Which would be what? Bool to message. Checked would be a bool, and Label would be just a string. And then we would also just take the element to put in there. Contents. So this would have to be a column, which we're probably going to have to do the old width fill. Oh, you're going to need a palette too. Because this thing is in a heading, which involves that. Which is going to take over a whole bunch of that stuff from there. Do I treat that as a pseudo checkbox, or do I add that as a property? I don't know if it makes sense can you just take a bunch of stuff and throw it on the end. Palette could perhaps be an argument. Actually, inverse heading. Oh, because the heading thing I had done before took a string. This still takes an element. This is going to end up defining the size, redefining the size. And all of those things I guess it's going to have a palette. And then that's palette, input.checkbox, on change, checked, label, and then, well, we want to make this conditional, but right now I'm just looking to see if that compiles. Contents can accept one argument with the type definition. Oh, nope. It does in fact return an element, but it also wants to take one. Oh, you have the property field named this. But not a variable. And I guess this could also, we use this sometimes for the message taggers. All right, and then this actually wants to be an if. Well, I guess to pass this in, I either have to already have wrapped it up into some other element, in which case I have to bother with the width fill, or I just give it a list. If it's an element, it's easy to stick in here. If it's just a list, then I have to figure out how to manipulate that. This is actually one element we're just going to stick on the front of the list. I won't even need this to be a sub-element in that case. Well, no, because it's going to be a property in the thing calling it. But we have to say if checked, then contents, else empty list. Makes you a list of elements. Yep. Okay, too much piping. Now, list element expects okay, maybe you need one too. Yeah, actually, so that was actually it. Oop. Okay, so that means this stuff still has to be a list. So you become a subsection control. It still gets no palette moves. See, maybe looking at palette more like an icon thing. Equals that is just this. And then you take a list, which actually doesn't need to do some of this stuff anymore. I guess that's about right indentation. Okay, so it doesn't like some of this stuff. Record of type checked, label. It's complaining because this is a specific message type and that's a generic message type. I really thought it should be able to handle that though. Like we're not really dealing with anything. Oh, nope, because I left unchanged in there. I have to, no, actually I don't have to change that. No, because I want to pull it out as a deconstructed property, I do. Okay, that changed our spacing a bit because we were in a list that had spacing between its elements. Spacing 10. All right, anything else we do that to is going to have a flag to flip. I mean, lives should be able to. All right, so that's already headings and subsection. And some scaling work. Is the UI aware of some of these flags? Use only data animated. Life data visible looks like it. Overlay remove, overlay add, yeah. I may have to do something because that would have normally been sending from leaflet. Now we've got search overlay. I think that's different. Data layer might be sending data. Let's look into the UI and then worry about that. So we've got a field for it. Okay, so you're the thing under it. All right, so we don't have a message for this. So we got you and you. Which doesn't actually toggle the right thing. Ooh. So our view has to be able to send that. So we had animated, toggle animated, from my search, change theme. Probably this stuff became like select matching, select point colors. Yeah. Anything else? Toggle eaves only. Fade toggle. I guess we kind of had some toggle stuff here. Toggle. All right, that will force us to implement handling for that message. It'll show life data. life data visible. And this I'm not sure if we have right now. Okay, that's compilable. So we were toggle animated. So that will let us change this internal thing. I don't, well, there's no data to be visible now, but it does not appear to be actually changing the visibility of that. And if it were visible, I doubt this would be turning it off. I guess it's kind of a double click because I was going so fast. Set view. Actually, we're going to look at commands. Set view. Let's see. So data layer does some stuff. Set data layers. If so, data overlay. Toggle the animated status. Yeah, so that does not do that. Do I have a... I know I send generic messages based on layers turning on and off. Object bounds, monument list. I have at times. Okay, so doing that gives a default search. So that is if map UI, there's going to be some event. This is all view stuff. Somewhere we've got leaflet events. Overlay add life data. Overlay remove, life data does the tracking of that option. Okay, so we've got something like if, oh no, you're at that's animated. Toggle show life data. Let's require lives model. That probably just because we need some stuff, not that we're actually going to, just going to matter if, oh, because this returns a model. And that's just turning it off, which we've already done. Oh, but it's not informing leaflet about that. So you would have to do this because you're doing all the updates. It'll have turning on one way. Oh, yeah. Now we're in this mess. You didn't actually set this. Unless you want to do a Model 2 thing. I guess this is a bay, but it doesn't turn it back off. I don't think we currently have any way to do that. Set view, current server, object bounds, monument list. I think data layer. Maybe we have a way we call that turns it off. That's our data layer. Leaflet.data layer value. Is it a maybe? No data layer. And we send an empty array. So it's probably still on, but empty. Which might leave the checkbox a little bit out of sync. Yeah. I guess I could see if the data's empty. Since we sometimes use that, well, that just says make it blank because there's no data. It's not the same as the user wanting to turn the layer off. But that implies we're going to send the data in that case. Point location, point color, point visible. I guess really if that's our thing. We have any other toggles? Set view. Random overlay. So only current monuments is basically a bool. We might use that only for hiding. Although, if there's no data fetch, that doesn't actually toggle it. But that's the thing we call if the layer gets turned on. No, a whole map. Set data layers. That only turns it on. And we just status. Is it remove layer? So what does require do? Yeah, we look at the state of data layer and decide what to do about it. What's if the map layer is on, that's relatively safe to resend. What do I call it? Data layer visible. Okay, so calling that should result in, well, there's also required selected lives, which is going to have a very similar thing. So require lives will not do this by itself. Actually, that wouldn't update the internal. No, because it'll eventually, if it becomes visible, it will bounce back here. And then this. So we fetch data. Unknown message. Data layer visible. Didn't update this. Okay. That was more trouble than I was hoping for, I guess. Oh, I wonder if I should actually be making sub methods out of these. Well, that was enough. That was enough code. I have to pass palette, and maybe I might end up having to. Well, I'm going to pass palette, so I can guess I can get control color. So we had the subsection control, the individual controls for that. So this would be like life options. I'm probably gonna need an entire model. I'm gonna need an entire model, which means each one of these has to pull the palette out again. I guess I could pre-pull the palette. Is he gonna mention specific messages? All right, is that a valid signature? It's a valid signature. So this would become life options. Already pulled the palette out. We're gonna need the rest of the model because we have to get the model dot whatever and all of this stuff. Okay, I guess I was reusing some of the indent before. And then something might end up needing control color. We can just get palette gut control. Okay. And the other thing, the other section we had was animation controls or animation options. Which is probably going to have a very similar signature. Okay, you use control color. Okay. Yeah, you still got that. You still got headings. Let's see, monuments. I don't know if I'm currently tracking. Objects, I don't really have a layer for. Activity map, we've been debating whether to have that as an option. I guess that one we can add. And for the rest of this stuff, we're going to have to add layer toggle options. Maybe just have to have like some kind of just generic layer toggle. It's basically going to map one-to-one to something here. Well, no, objects isn't. Monuments does. And that could be reused for... Well, I'd have to specifically map base layer for live. No. Well, Elm would have to know that it was life data was the layer name. So we have an event. Overlay add, overlay remove. We've got data layer visible. Probably some other things that fall into that. But maybe they do some other things. Oh, actually, there's a base layer toggle. That's actually supposed to be biome layer, maybe? That's for changing the base layer. Do I even use that anymore? I guess the real question is base layer. Ooh. I don't think I do. I kind of left it in there. From that was when we had we didn't have time-based worlds. Okay, so step 1, can we make it not exposed? Oh, because we copied this. Shush. Yeah. Well, this is actually going to be, well, in base. Is that even still a thing? Which was the layers tab, which we aren't really using. Yeah, maybe we're kind of using it. But this is going to be kind of similar code to what we, well, it's going to be in overlays predominantly. Although I think we just move, we put activity map into, well, in the tile layer, it might still be an overlay. But it's actually going to be something very, very like this. We're kind of going to replace it with like overlay layer. No, because this is a radio type selection. This is going to be toggling a specific layer. Well, yeah, if I like overlay visible. And then there is going to be an overlays, I'm pretty sure. Data layer visible. Kind of end up wanting to replace this. Compilable. And I think that will work for the places I was using data layer visible. Oh, except it needs a name. And I removed the thing that had the format like that. I mean, arguably, we should have like some enumeration of layers, but ultimately it comes down to a string anyway. And this one is going to be particularly troublesome because I did end up calling it from multiple places. So other way to do this is to say that you are overlay visible life data. Okay, so that's a special case. Ooh. Oh, because overlay visible is still doing weird stuff. A whole map. Let's throw a radio type switch. If it's that one, then if message dot status, do that. Else. Ooh, okay. Okay, overlay visible, but it's not finding it. Is it not an overlay? Oh, it's message.layer. I called it, which should be perfectly valid. Name was name in the loop. Leaflet.elm. Okay. Message.layer. Okay, so yes, life data, life data. We actually kind of messed ourselves up here somehow. Okay, so we actually blanked the data somehow. So did we blank the data? Okay, so that still functions. That just doesn't do anything. So that is definitely messing it up. Oh, you know what? I'm like constantly saying remove name. Now if name equals this layer, we either add it or we remove it. And we only got a request to add it. which by itself was working fine here. Oh, because I'm checking the map status. So probably just the fact that we're doing stuff to this is messing it up. Oh, or I misspelled status. I wasn't sure about that. Overlays name. This becomes more of an else if. All right, where'd you go wrong? You shouldn't be off. Oh, maybe it's this messed up? What? Shut up. Add layer, overlays, name. Maybe this is it. Okay, that avoids issuing too many commands to the map. All right, so that rewrote that. That gave us a more generic tool. Okay. Although I still have to respond to... Like I can start by responding to those events. And then there is no specific message for this anymore. Which is itself a change. Oh, I started doing that and looking at what else I could extract. So really it's the view. Port message. So then our model would have to be able to represent, I might almost need a better place to put all these layer things. Life data visible, gradical visible, monuments visible, that one kind of works out. See, this is going to be true by default. Oh, you know what? I've been committing with this default options, haven't I? Yeah, I mean, we're still working on it. But we're not really done with this section either. So, life data. Actually, gonna be closer to this one. Monuments visible. Then in our view, so we're essentially adding a checkbox, so this will become a little bit bigger thing. I don't have an event for you yet. That takes care of the title. This is just going to be a list. Okay, I can't actually control this because this is actually, oh yeah, monuments visible. I was actually going to do toggle animated, but it should follow this. Toggle animated, toggle show life data. Then we have to implement that. Okay, monuments visible, and it's not. This is overlay visible. And then we can send it. Beep. And so it is. Monument section. I guess objects, even when not natural objects, could be expensive. Maybe there'd be a reason to make that toggleable. We're already debating whether to make that a toggleable thing. And that's going to require a little bit, because we don't, We have to add a layer for that. We probably have to add base layer toggles for that. Or rather, to put them into that layer. This one ought to be shown by default. Then we have to track activity map visible. Activity map. We don't currently have a generic overlay for that. What was it? The objects overlay? Yeah, object overlay is just a group which we stick in there. An object overlay went into there. Life data object search. It's almost kind of a base layer thing. Not quite one of our longest things. All right. No syntax errors. No syntax errors. But we haven't saved. This one is visible by default. Because I added the layer itself. Hey, Athena. Oh, you're tracking your own internal state. And doing base layer by time, which actually we're going to be doing some similar stuff to that. Are we? Now, of course, we could be changing stuff in the activity overlay and then letting it toggle itself on and off. Biome layer toggle. Huh. You're on. But I forget where I turned you on. Oh, single quotes. All right, and when we do update base layer by time, we're actually just working on some other layer things. So object overlay layers. Do I need this anymore? Oopsie, did I? Yeah, I doubled up on that. Which means I don't need you anymore. Activity. Overlay layers. Okay, so there's actually only one act map thing, which means there might be a simpler solution to this. Because that would really just come down to target span and act map instead of the index of check. Although this is doing the if target world. Well, no, that's if target span. So that might actually simplify this considerably. So object overlay each layer, if index of, if target span and target span dot act map okay, if you say so. Wait, no, this is index of this is the removal step. Maybe this is layer, well, if index, so if it has this, so we still have to check that this thing exists. The target span has an act map. Oh, and it's not present. Remove it. Wait. Yeah, if it's not, so if that wasn't not in the list, it was an empty list. So, yeah, no, so this is easier to extend, I guess. Object overlay. Oh no, if object overlay layers. Yeah, that's not that. If you a layer. If that thing is in our list. No, if it's not in our list. Okay, layers, layers, layers. Activity overlay. If does not have layer. And then for if the layers, so this could be simplified a little bit. If it should not currently be displayed. For all of the layers, if they are not equal to the current layer. And this one really shouldn't affect animated. It is never animated. This really should be a simple, is this layer on? Actually, I can just, because I have to do all other layers. Let's say, are the one that should be on. Yeah, it's a one loop, it's kind of fine. Oh, and I need to make sure, did I take you out of my master list? So biome layer, object layer. That's the natural object layer. This is getting too crowded. Oh, okay, yep. Activity overlay layers. Activity overlay layers. What you mean not defined? Oh, I put you in the wrong spot. Each layer, so this should be activity overlay. All right, so even if this is visible, down here, simple toggle. And now that that is a layer we can control, I guess we have to have a place to put it first in the model. And then it's visible. So I've got a bunch of layer visible things here. I've also got a bunch of activity map stuff here. It is going to be default true. And in our view, let's see. We've got activity map. So header, slider, slider. Oh, and then animation options. And I could almost pull this out into application. Well, it would have to be wrapped up as an object. We could do that. Animation options. Oh, actually, it was actually above animation options. And then you're going to end up looking a little bit like this. I don't have a message for you yet. I do have a field. Yeah, that goes to the end of the block. And then you had a control color. I had two of them. You have not gotten all of them yet. This might be something completely different. Yes, start time select, arc select. No, not all of them. You still have to do the object stuff. Which I guess could still be made into a little subgroup just for convenience. It just wouldn't be a toggleable section. Yep, I don't have a message for it yet. Although we should see it respond to the map. No, because I'm specifically watching for these layers. Maybe I should do something better with that. I might need a data type for like layers and then do the translation once or something. We could do some generic tracking of layer status. Okay, that did change on me. Okay, so that's tracking. That needs to fire an event in the view, which maybe if I had a layer type, and as they're all associated with layers, then I could have like a subsection toggle of layer. I was thinking like show activity map. Although maybe it should be visible for parity to the value it's setting. And then we have to do toggle show monuments, activity map. And then actually assign this to the view. More typical case would be out here. And you just don't want to see it. Which kind of does leave objects as a weird case out. That means it would mean its own checkbox. And then essentially its own sublayer, although it'd still be a base layer thing. At this point, I almost could put biome and biome and Yeah, we're adding some space. Activity, map, toggle. All right, in view, we've got our giant cosmetics thing. So pretty, I kind of pulled these out as two separate controls in order to move them around. Maybe I just moved that in like application options or something. So I can make you an options. It's not going to be a full subsection. Let's see, so object, monuments, objects, activity map. No. So here would be subsection control that would have, I mean, basically just this. Oh, okay, so you should probably have been options. We still have a signature kind of like this. And we're going to have to define our own heading again. It's really just inverse heading palette, but then it needs an entire element. So the entire thing is that this becomes inverse heading palette text objects. This becomes a list. There's control color, and that might be the last instance of it. Cosmetics. Yeah. And then heading, well, we still have the application heading. But we're not actually doing much with that anymore. Inverse heading, not inverse title. And I pulled these things out so at the time to move them all as one thing. So for completeness, monument options, subsection control. So I guess I pulled these out because they were controls, but now they're going to be like right there. And I'm not even sure they need to be separate once we've got this group. I need more like object options. Yep, not you. Misspelled. Okay, option for one. And secondly, I think I see an options. Nope, application. I'm not sure if we should have a object toggle. I mean, I guess if you only wanted to look at biome patterns in a world that had objects. But you'd probably be more often doing that at distance anyway. All right. Go ahead and do that as a unit. So this is sidebar, closed sidebar, and this was data filter. Yep. And there's any of, yep, that was that. All right, so I'm going to have to look over all the little things we changed there. Post about it, so I need to get that deployed. Nothing big, so we'll just say rolling out now. And then it's lunchtime. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the support from some subscribers, voluntary and otherwise. And everybody who hosted me. Let's see, so we've got JavaScript, Game Dev, Machine Learning. That's what I'm usually on. I need to go scanning for code again. Well, there's a TypeScript must be multiplayer game. Not sure what kind. What if you're looking for someplace cool to hang out? Thanks Games is someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye and until next time.